I mean, look at Anatoly next to you. This fucking guy. Don't move. I'm taking a picture of this. This is like the height of balls.
Is that Garcia Lorca on your shirt? Who is that?
It's Anton Chekhov.
Anton Chekhov.
Yeah.
All right. He had the greatest death of all time.
How'd he die?
As far as I know, do you know the circumstances of his death, Anatoly?
No.
As far as I read that he was quite an old man, like I think it's in his 80s or so, and he was on his plantation or whatever, like his estate, and he and his old wife, who he'd been with forever, they had a family over, and he would walk out in the garden, and he would just improvise stories for his grandchildren, and they would go like, "Grandpa, just, the lamppost," and he would just improvise a story for them. So all the family goes away. He comes back in. The family goes home. It's just he and his old wife, and she says, "Let's have champagne, some strawberries or something." And he goes, "I haven't had champagne in a very long time. I think I'll rest." And so she goes off to get the champagne. When she comes back, he's laying on the couch dead with a smile on his face. And she sits down next to him and drinks the champagne and has the strawberries. And she's like, "Fuck it, that's a great death." And then at his funeral, I guess all these Russians turned out to go to his funeral. And I might have this wrong. Somebody please fact check this. But I think it's Chekhov's death, where they all go, his coffin's on a train car, and they all march behind the train car in the cold rain or whatever, and it's a bunch of fancy pants society people that all want to go mourn Chekhov's death. They realize also it smells like crap because they're following the wrong train, and it's got oysters on it, and it's rotting fish, and they had followed for miles the wrong train, and they had to go all the way back the other direction to follow the right train back. And his friends of Chekhov said it's like he wrote his own funeral, because that's exactly what he would have written. But falling asleep while your wife is off to get champagne and her coming back and you have a smile on your face and she finishes the champagne is groovy. I like that.
You know, you hold your breath though because you go like, well, okay. So I would come back and I would be like, no! And in between like shaking the corpse, I'd be like, why couldn't you have done it after calling me a cunt?
Why is that better?
Because what the fuck? I was looking forward to having champagne like the one afternoon.
They were in their 80s. Nice. They're old people. It's going to happen.
Like, ostensibly, they've done it before. No, I know I'm the bad guy, but I'm saying like that's why I'm afraid. That's fear of death is the thing that makes you go no. Like I want the good things.
If you're in your 80s and let's say you're 90 and Erin would be what 80? How much younger is she?
Like 23.
She's 23, right? That's right. I forgot she's a fetus right now. Yeah. And you're in your like old people, and if you peacefully passed away at 90 years old, and she came in with a bottle of Kettle One and sat down next to you, and you had a smile on your face. That's a pleasant way to go.
I'm gonna cry thinking about that. That's so fucked up.
You're 90 years old in the story.
But it's just that would have been the first afternoon that I stopped working, and I would be like oh let's have some Kettle One, like maybe once it gets boring, like maybe like a good death would be like, okay, let's go to Costco, and she's like I'll go get the card, and then she comes back and I'm dead. And she'd look at my corpse and look at the card and be like, I can go to Albertsons because no bulk. Greg, and it's like, yeah, he nailed his death. We don't have to go to Costco.
So Greg Proops' joke where there was a big furor when they found out that Jimi Hendrix had lied about being gay to get out of the Vietnam War, and Greg said, I lied about being gay last Wednesday to get out of going to Home Depot.